again, today's class is going to be going over all of the edits that you guys have available on the command website, essentially the command IDX class 201. So today I'm going to be starting by logging into the command platform. And I have my credentials right here. Once you're logged into the command platform, the first thing I want to make sure is that you guys know where this information is going to be pulling from, or essentially your basic contact information will be pulling from. So we're going to start by clicking on your name in the top right-hand corner, and we're going to click on Settings. Once this page loads, this is essentially the page that's going to show you all of the available integrations. We're actually going to be clicking on Connect Settings, which should be located right on the left-hand side. And that will give you a little drop down to bring you to your marketing profile. Once you've opened up your marketing profile, the first thing that you're going to see are your teams, your team logo, your logo, scrolling through, just making sure that this information is correct, as it will actually feed over to your website. So as far as your contact information, if you have a phone number that's showing up incorrectly, make sure that your mobile number and your office number are populating the way that you want them to. If your email is showing up incorrectly on the footer of your website, this is where all of this is going to pull from. So office information that shows up on the footer, that's right here. Your office logo that shows up right in the left-hand corner of your website pulls from right here. I know it looks a little weird on the marketing profile, but if any of you have essentially added a logo in here and then you pull up your website, which we'll be going to next, you'll see that it actually shows the entire logo. And then same thing for your team logo. Your team logo actually shows right to the right of your office logo. So they're both in the top left-hand corner of your physical website. Scrolling down a little bit more, any of you that have legal footers, or if you're with Texas and you need your IABS forms or IABS links added, that can all be added here as well. So you have your legal text footer that you can type right in. Then you also have your legal links and also any logos or essentially photos that need to be added to your legal footer. Can all be done right from here, and it will automatically sync over to your website for you. So just keep in mind with that. Same thing with your any sort of social media URLs, which I'll show you guys where those will populate as well. Make sure that these are all hyperlinked. So if you guys are just adding these in now, make sure that you do have the HTTPS and then semicolon / before all of your URLs, as that will actually make them clickable right from your website, which is important. So as long as all of this is filled out, you guys have already added all of this information. This is already feeding over to your website. The last thing that you want to make sure is to save it, and also to make sure that this little light is green. If you guys have it clicked and it's essentially showing up as gray, that means that none of your information is essentially syncing out to either your command platform and your website, smart plans. It's essentially not able to grab any of that information. So you want to make sure that once you've made any of your edits, right at the bottom of the page, you have your save button. You'll click save, and then you'll scroll right back up to the top and then just click that toggle switch. It's going to have a pop-up, essentially just go over the compliance reminder, letting you know that all of this information, essentially if you're adding anything that might be against compliance, it's just giving you a heads up. Click acknowledge and continue, and your little toggle switch will turn green. Just as a heads up, this is where all of your contact information will be pulling to your website from. So once you guys have added that in, you can actually come right over to your consumer. And this used to be labeled sites. It's the exact same icon, they just renamed it. So we're just going to click on consumer. Once this page loads, this is just the landing page section. So these are essentially all pages that you have made as landing pages. These are standalone URLs. What we're going to be working with primarily today is going to be the agent site pages. So one of the things that we have noticed thus far is that you are only allowed to actually have 10 live pages at a time on your website. So as of right now, you're seeing that we have 5. If you also have 5 or under, you're golden. If you have over 5, or essentially if you've already hit your 10 max, you may not be able to make the pages that you create today live. So in other words, it will allow you to create unlimited pages, but when you go to make those pages live, they won't be available. So if you're in that situation, you can shoot us an email and we can help you essentially move some things around and go from there. But just as a heads up, as of right now, there is a 10-page cap on the website. So the first thing I want to add today is actually the free mortgage calculator, just so you guys can see how to get that added, not only to your website, but how to make sure that it's populating live and essentially functioning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my create a new site right on the top right hand corner. And that should bring up this pop-up, and we're just going to click on my agent site and then create page. Once this page comes up, I'm just going to label it just so I can tell it apart. And then for the mortgage calculator, what we essentially do is we're going to be adding a text box to this. That way we can add an iframe code for that mortgage calculator. But in order for a page to actually be recognized and saved as a website page, you do need to utilize one of these widgets. So what we tend to use is the contact form, because what that's going to do is it's going to allow us to add the mortgage calculator right at the top of the page. That's the first thing your clients will see. And then there will be a contact section right beneath. That way, if they want to reach out to you directly, they'll have access to that. So I'm going to start by actually just dragging and dropping the contact form right onto the page. And you'll see that populate. Then I'm just going to click on my content blocks, which is the tab right underneath the widgets. And I'm going to click on the text. And I'm going to drag and drop that right above my contact us form. And you'll see that you can see that green line. You want to make sure that you can see that, because if you don't see it, you're not sure where it's going to end up. So you want to make sure that's right at the top. And you'll see your text populate as well. Now what I'm going to pull up is our mortgage calculator URL, which I can also post. I'll post this in the chat as well, just so you guys have it. Way easier than me reading that out to you guys as well. And I'll also put this in the summary of the video. So if you guys are watching the recorded version, it will be right in the summary of this video. So once you guys go to that URL, you scroll down a little bit, you'll see this is essentially what the mortgage calculator is going to look like, all of the information that it's going to have available to you. And what we're going to do is we're just going to copy this code right here. So I'm just going to click copy to clipboard. And you'll see it flash copied, which means that I now have that saved. And then I'm just going to come right back to my command platform. And I'm going to make sure that my text is highlighted. That way I'm replacing it. And then I'll just right click and paste. Now I have this massive code there. One thing that you do want to keep in mind, more so specifically with iframe codes, you need to double click the code in order for it to actually populate with what that code is related to. With the mortgage calculator, there seems to be some separate sections. So I'm just going to double click on the div at the bottom, and then the second section of the code, and then double click on the top part of the code. And you'll notice that it all populates now. So now I have my entire mortgage calculator populating. Scroll down, I still have my contact widget, and now my page is essentially populating correctly. So the text box, if you look right on the right-hand side of your page, you should see the content blocks. And if you just drag and drop the text box where you want it to populate, make sure you see that green line, you'll get that text box, and you can just paste that code in. So now once you have this added, the last part that we want to do before saving this is just clicking configure widgets. You'll see the only widget on here right now is the contact, so we'll just click on that one. And the first thing we want to check is obviously make sure if you want this to say something different, maybe contact me if you're a singular agent, completely fine. Message placeholder, maybe you want to say something specific to the mortgage calculator. That's essentially what's going to populate right in this little placeholder right here. You can certainly customize that, but one of the biggest pieces you need to make sure you're looking out for is when you add the Contact Us widget, it actually adds your office number as the default phone number automatically. So that being said, once you see your phone number, if you click on that drop-down list, this is our landline. So I'm just going to click on that. And what that will do is it's actually going to populate our phone number underneath the phone icon rather than the generic office number. So definitely keep in mind whenever you use the contact widget, whether you're adding custom content, the mortgage calculator, anything that you use for that widget, make sure that you are editing that phone number. So once I've done that, I'm just going to click on my save and apply. And that will update my phone number. So now see my phone number is populating as the one I want it to be. Now I can go up and click Save Changes on the top right-hand corner, and this will essentially create that page for me. You'll get this pop-up saying, would you like to publish this to your website? And we'll click yes. And now you'll see that the page is now populating as one of your available pages. That being said, you'll also see that it has a gray eyeball. The other ones all have teal eyeballs, meaning that they're live. Gray means that the page is created, but it's not yet live on your website. So once we have that done, we're just going to go right into site and app settings. And once this page loads, we're just going to click on Site Pages. And then you'll see our other pages that we already have. We're actually just going to click on Add Page. That way we can get our mortgage calculator added. And this is also the section, just in case you do have more than 10 pages on that agent sites page tab that we were just on. This is the section, for some reason, those new pages, once you've superseded 10, you actually won't see them populate here. So that's more so the issue that we've noticed, just as a heads up if you are in that situation. But now what we're going to click on is our labeled mortgage calculator. It will also give you the date if you have multiple pages. And then we're just going to click on continue. And then once you have that up, we're just going to label our page. So I'm going to do and then for our slug, I'm going to do the exact same thing, but I'm going to use a dash as the space. And then I'm going to put click here for our free mortgage calculator. And once you guys have that information added, so again, your page title, that's what's going to show up physically on your website. The slug is going to be the tail end of the URL. So our actual physical URL for our website is scottleroymarketing.kw.com. So now in order to share this specific page, if you're emailing this specific page over to someone, you would actually do scottleroymarketing.kw.com/mortgage-calculator, and that will bring them straight to that page. Then I just have my SEO description. Again, this is just the information. If anybody were to pull this up on Google, that's what will actually show up as the description. So once I have that information added, you just need to remember to click Save Page Changes. And if some of you are working on laptops, you may have to be scrolling up and down. Just as a heads up, if you don't see this, just scroll down or possibly zoom out a little bit. So I'm just going to click on my Save Changes. Once you get that little green bar that pops across the top, settings were updated successfully. That means that your page is live. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to click back to agent site settings. And then I'm just going to pull up our website so you can physically see it. And then I just got a question. What if you were using a GoDaddy URL for your website, or essentially any custom URL? As of right now, the way that custom URLs populate, unfortunately, that slug wouldn't use or essentially work with that custom URL. If you were trying to share a specific page, it would need to be shared via your kw.com URL. However, you can still share that GoDaddy URL. It will just bring them to your main website. It won't bring them to that specific page, but they'll still have access to essentially click here and then they'll see your mortgage calculator has been added to your website. So you can always just share your general URL, whether you've purchased it from GoDaddy, Namecheap, wherever platform, any custom URL can still be shared. So now for mortgage calculator, I'm just going to pull this up just so you guys can see what it looks like on the physical website. And the first time that you go to the page, once you've added it, it does take a second to load, so don't panic. But once it populates, you'll see you have all your mortgage calculator information. The widget is smart enough to center the actual information, which is great. And then when you scroll down, you'll see your contact section. And here's our updated phone number that we had revised. So that's how you add your mortgage calculator app. The next one that I want to actually show you guys is the Homekeepr widgets. So Homekeepr is a platform that you guys actually have provided to you as Keller Williams agents. It's a free platform and it's phenomenal. You can actually track vendors and then share that information via a widget they have available. So if someone's looking for anything really, like a gardener or pool maintenance or anything along those lines, you can actually have that information added to Homekeepr and then add that widget to your website. They also have a self-updating and populating blog that is available to you, all about real estate, the market, what to do, what not to do, how to get your house ready to sell, all of that sort of information, and it's self-populating. So I'm going to pull that up just so you guys can see it. We'll also add the blog today, and I'll show you guys where those codes are for both widgets, just in case you want to go back in the future. So to start, I'm just going to pull up my Homekeepr page, literally just home.homekeepr.com. Notice there is no E in Keeper, just as a heads up. So it's home.homekeepr.com. And I'll post that in the chat as well. I'll also hyperlink this at the bottom of this video. Again, if you guys are watching the recorded version, this will be right in the summary. So once you guys pull up this page, we're just going to click on Sign In and Realtors. And then once this page pops up, if you don't know your Homekeepr login information, shoot us an email and we can always try and see if we have it on file from when we originally set you up. Chances are it's under whatever your dominant email is on your KW platform and then whatever you set up as the password. Again, if you don't have your login information, shoot us an email. We can set you up with an account under the KW umbrella. If you just go to the actual Homekeepr platform and try to sign up, it won't give you that free account. So I'm just going to log in here. And yes, again, this class is being recorded and it will be up on our website later on today. So once you guys have logged into Homekeepr, it should put you right on this page, which is essentially your dashboard. If for some reason it does feed you to another page, if you just click Home, it will also bring you to your dashboard. So once you guys are here, you should see my info, my vendors, my clients. This is where you can add in your vendors, which is great. But the one that we're going to be focusing on is my widgets. So we're just going to click on the Embed widget. And then once you guys have this populating, you should see my Trusted Pros widget, which is essentially the vendor widget. That's what's going to give your contacts access to any trusted vendors that you've added. And then we have the blog widget. This is the one that I'm going to be adding today. But just keep in mind, if you do decide to come back and add in the vendor widget, you want to make sure that you're grabbing the iframe code, not JavaScript. JavaScript actually isn't accepted by command at this time, but iframe will. The process is going to be the exact same as adding the blog, which is great. So it's not going to change at all. So as if you do decide to come back on later and add the vendor pros widget, you can follow the exact same process we're about to do for the blog. So all I'm going to click on is my blog widget. It's just another tab. And again, I'm going to make sure that I grab the iframe code, and I'm just going to click on copy code. It actually also gives you a little preview down here, which is great. Once I've copied that code, I'm going to come back to my command website, and we're going to click again on the create a new site. And then we're going to click on my agent site and create page. The first thing I'm going to do is just rename my page. So I'm just going to put this as blog. That way I can tell them apart. And then once I've done that, I'm actually going to show you guys how you can use other widgets if you guys are looking to add any sort of iframe. So if you guys are also using any sort of platform that maybe provides you with an iframe code, if you guys have like an open house or a virtual tour, you can follow this process for that as well, which is great. Iframe codes are very universal. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use the agent profile one in order to add this blog. So all I'm going to do is, again, I just have my blank slate. All I've done is just added a title for my page, and I'm just going to grab the agent profile widget, drag it, and drop it right onto my page. Once you have that populating, some of you may have personal information populating, your bio, your name, all of that. I'm going to show you guys how to actually change that and manipulate it to have now the blog populate. Just so it's not the same on every page, it just kind of gives you a little bit more customization. So now what we're going to do once you have that populating is just click on configure widgets, which should be right in the bottom right-hand corner. Again, this is the only widget we have up right now, so we're just going to click on agent profile. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to change the picture. If you do want to keep your headshot there, you can. I'm actually going to change this to our logo. So I'm just going to click on my little picture icon. And then I have right on my desktop, I have two logos I can choose from. I'm going to pick this one. Now I have my page title. I'm going to put Scott Leroy's blog. Roland Company, which is going to populate right underneath. If you don't want anything to populate there, you can just put a space, or you can put, what I usually do is powered by Homekeepr. And then bio title, I'm just going to put a space. And now for our bio, you're going to want to make sure everything is deleted. So scroll all the way down, make sure all of that is deleted so you're actually just seeing that placeholder text and enter agent bio. Once you've done that, I'm just going to right click and paste my code right in there. Then I'm going to leave my contact title the same. My agent phone is populating correctly. So then I'm just going to click on my save and apply. So now you'll see once it loads that you have your logo, and our logo is a PNG, so it doesn't have a background. If you do have your headshot or a different logo, you should essentially have like a white circle around it. And then Scott Leroy's blog, I have my title, powered by Homekeepr, and then my blog is populating right here. And then when they scroll down, they still have my contact information at the bottom. Once you have all of that populating, you're just going to want to click on Save Changes on the top right-hand corner. And then we'll click Yes again. And again, this process would be the exact same for the vendor widgets. You would do the exact same thing, delete the information, customize it, paste that code in, and it would just populate with that vendor widget for you. So once that's saved, again, we have our blog now, but it's a gray eyeball. We want that to be teal. So we're going to go back into site and app settings. And then I'm going to click on my site pages. And then I'm going to go back to my ad page. And I'll select my blog this time. And then continue. My page title, I'm just going to do blog. My slug, same thing. I'll just do blog. Click here for real estate blog powered by Homekeepr. And once you have that information added, I'm just going to click on Save Page Changes. And again, you guys can use anything for the title. If you want to use something different for the slug, if you want to put real estate blog, you can put that, whatever you guys want. Just make sure that once you've added that information that you're clicking Save Page Changes, or it won't actually make that site live. So once I've done that, I already have my website pulled up on a separate tab. So I'm just going to refresh it. And then click on my drop-down menu, and now I have my blog. And you'll see all of that populating. So the next thing that I want to go over is how to add featured listings to your website, since that is a very common question that we've seen lately. So as of right now, there's no automatic pull for featured listings, but you can create a landing page for a featured listing and add it to a tab. You can also stack those pages if you'd like. So if you have multiple featured listings, you can essentially follow the same process multiple times for that same page and actually put your listings on top of each other. So when you open up the page, you would have multiple listings rather than having a separate tab on your website for each essential URL or for each address. So I'm going to go over how you guys can do that now. So first, I'm just going to X out of these. I'm going to go back into my command platform. And once you guys are there, I'm just going to click on Consumer. And that will bring me right back to landing pages. So if you guys have created any sort of listing landing page or promotion for a listing, open house, anything along those lines, you can actually now add those to your website. So what I'm going to pull up, let me make sure this should be, we go into, I'm just going to create a new one just to make sure that it's live. So I'm just going to click on create a new site. And then I'm actually going to click on standalone page and create page. Once you guys have this up, I'm just going to click on, I'm just going to label this test listing just so I have it for test listing 201. You guys can label it essentially whatever the address is that you are essentially going to be promoting on this landing page. Then if we just add our agent branding, and then I'm just going to grab my listing one. So I'm just going to grab that widget, drag it and drop it right underneath my agent branding. You'll see your agent information should populate immediately. Listing information, if it just stays as widget not configured, don't panic. We're going to go through that and actually pull an actual listing. So once you guys have added essentially your agent branding, your listing information, all we're going to be doing is just clicking on configure widgets. Agent branding should be all set. If not, you would just click on it, make any edits that you're looking to do. If you have a different headshot, your name, you want that to show up differently or as a team name, license number, any of this information that you want to edit, you can do that right through here. And then once you've made your edits to that section, you would just click on Save and Apply, and it will update it for you. And then we'll click on the little arrow on the top right-hand corner, the right-hand arrow, which will bring us then to the listing widget so we can select our listing. So as of right now, this is almost like the dummy listing. Everybody should be seeing this. It's 300 Hilltop View. We're just going to click on Browse Listings. And then you would just type in your property address that you're looking to use. So if I do, let's see. Okay, so I'm just going to grab a listing and I'm just going to click on Select. And then again, it may take a second for everything to load. What it's doing is it's actually grabbing all of this information from KWLS 2.0. So it does take a second for everything to populate. Don't panic. So once you guys have that listing selected, you're just going to click on Save and Apply, and it will pull that information over just so you can see what you're working with so far. So you'll see now under this, from listing, you have your header image. You can adjust what image is the main one. A lot of times the main image, you would want it to be essentially an exterior photo. If you want something else, if there's a pool or if there's a certain room that you want to be essentially the main focus, you would just select whichever picture you're looking to use. And then you would just click Save and Apply. So if I wanted to do the kitchen, I'll click it, click Save and Apply, and it will update my main image. Now it does the kitchen of the property. Then you'll notice once you scroll down, it pulls all the specs for you about the property. Then it has all the images available, additional specs, and then where it's located right on the map. So all of this information we can actually add right to your website. So once you guys have that featured listing information, you have the picture that you want populating up there, all of your information's been added, you've clicked on Save and Apply, and essentially it looks the way you want it to. We're going to click on Save Landing Page. And make sure you're clicking Save Landing Page, not Publish, because if you try to publish it before you save it, it essentially won't save any changes. So we're going to click on Save Landing Page. And then we'll click Yes, we want to save it as a draft. And then once we've done that, we're actually going to see it right here. It says you haven't published this yet. We're going to go back into it, click on Edit. And now we can click on Publish Page once it loads. So now I'm just going to click on Publish Page, and it should say, would you like to publish this as a landing page? Yes. So once we have that, I'm just going to right click it and open it just so you guys can see how it would look for a client. So this is essentially the standalone page. Now this URL can be used anywhere, but I'm going to show you guys specifically how to get this added to your website as a featured listing. So now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this URL. And again, make sure everything's populating correctly. If you missed anything, you can always go back and edit it. One of the big things that you do want to make sure is that you don't have a gray overlay on anything saying widget not configured. If you are seeing that, you'll just need to go back into that landing page, reconfigure that widget, and it should populate correctly. If you get stumped, just email us and we can always take a look at it for you. Sometimes it's just a little bit finicky. They're still working on this platform. But the one thing, obviously, before you're making this a live page on your website, you just want to make sure that it's showing the way that you want it to. So all my pictures are showing up, my map is showing up, everything looks good. So now I'm just going to go back into my command platform and I'm just going to create a new page. That way I have a place to then add this code that I'll be creating. So I'm going to click on my create a new site. This time it's going to be on my agent site. And then I'll click create page. And this video will be on our YouTube channel later today. And if you would like to shoot us an email later on, we can always email it over to you as well. So once I have this page up, I'm just going to label this featured listings. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing I did earlier and actually drop my contact widget onto the page first. So I'm just going to click on it, drag it, and drop it. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on my content blocks, and I'm just going to drag and drop my text. Now, if you guys are going to be adding multiple listings and you want them to essentially be either in like a grid system, or if you want them to be splitting pages with other listings, you can certainly do that. That would essentially be using the layout blocks. I'm going to show you guys how to use that on the next section, how to essentially format completely custom pages. But if you guys are looking to use that for your featured listings, this is also an option. You can essentially use 1/3, which will give you 3 separate columns. So if I drag that over, you'll see it gives you 3 separate columns for text. Or you also have the 1/2, which will give you 2 separate columns where you can drag and drop text, just in case, depending on what you guys are looking for aesthetically. I'm going to use one text box just so I can show you guys how to stack listings on top of each other. So I'm going to delete those. Okay, so now I have my text box right here. I'm just going to go back to my test listing and I'm just going to grab that URL. So I'm just going to copy it. Once you guys have copied that, I'm just going to go into my Iframe Generator. This is the one that I tend to use because I like that it has a preview option. It's literally just www.iframe-generator.com. And you can use this to generate an iframe for images, videos, any URL that you have. This will essentially create that iframe code for you. So once you guys have that populating, I'm just going to right click where it says iframe URL, and I'm just going to paste my URL in there. Once that's done, I'm going to click on generate and then preview. You'll always want to preview the iframe code just to make sure that it's not cutting information off and to make sure that everything is, again, just populating the way you want it to before you go ahead and add it to your website. And you'll see that's what's populating right now. So obviously I'm going to want to adjust that. So now all I'm going to do is go back into my iframe. And for the width of the website, what we generally do is I'm going to do 1,000. And then for my height, I'm going to do the exact same thing. And I'm actually going to make sure that scroll bar is selected to be yes. Just in case your listing has additional information, your clients will actually be able to scroll on that rather than just being cut off at a certain point. So once I've done that, I'm just going to again click on generate and preview. And now this looks much better. So now I have all of my information. I have my image again. Scrolling down, I have my specs, my synopsis, all my pictures are going through the scroll. Perfect. So that has all the information. And you'll see again, we have this scroll bar right here. So your clients will have that as well. I'm going to go back to my iframe generator and I'm just going to copy this code that it made for me with those revisions. Once I have that, back to command. I already have my text box waiting for me. So again, I'm just going to make sure that my text is highlighted. That way I'm removing it. Right click it, and then I'm going to paste my code right on top of it. And again, once you guys have an iframe code pasted, if you just double click it, it will actually populate what your iframe code is. So once you guys have that added, if it is left aligned like this, this is where the 1/3 section will actually come in handy. So I'm going to show you guys the exact same thing. I'll drop it right above it. So I have my layout blocks. I'm going to grab 1/3 and drop it right above, just so you guys can see how this will populate for you. And now you'll see I have my 3 cells. And if I click on my content blocks and do the exact same thing and drop a text box right in that center cell, you'll see I just have that orange outline, so it shows me which cell I'm dropping it into. And then I have that green line showing me, yes, you're dropping your text box right into that cell. You can do the exact same thing and paste my code in. And now it will center it. So depending on how you guys are adding this, you guys have customization as far as just how it populates. And that will also show you if you want to stack them, you can just continuously add iframe codes on top of each other. Once you guys have done that, just like we did before, you want to make sure that you click Configure Widgets. Even though it's just your contact, you'll see already my phone number is wrong. So I'm going to go into Configure Widgets, and I'm just going to revise that phone number. And then I'll click Save and Apply. And they have been running updates on command this morning, so if it is running a little bit slower, just give it a second to load and it should refresh for you and update. Once you guys have clicked Save and Apply, I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, and it moved all of my stuff. Oh, let me re-add that really quick. I'm going to X out of this. Command froze on me. Let me see. So again, I clicked on Create a New Site. On my agent page, or on my agent site, Create Page. I'm just going to drop these back in. I apologize, command froze on me and it bumped me out of that page. So now I'm just going to click on my layout blocks, and I'll drop in my 1/3 section again. Still have my 3 cells. And then I'll just drop my text right in the center, and I should still have my code saved. Perfect. And then we need to add our contact widget to the bottom of the page. I'll give that a second to update. And then again, if you wanted to add an additional landing page, you can do the exact same thing. Create another iframe code. You would do the exact same thing and add your layout again, your content again, and you would just paste in your new code. And that will essentially allow you to stack multiple listings on top of each other for your featured listings. So if you have multiple active listings that you want populating on your website, this is the way to essentially add those as of right now. Keep in mind, Keller Williams International is working on a featured platform, so you guys will have this a little bit more accessible to you. As of right now, this is just the workaround to get your active listings or a featured listing on your website to promote that listing. Once I have that, I'm going to try this again. Click Configured Widgets. Make sure I'm on the contact, and I'm just going to make sure that all my information is showing up correctly. So maybe I'll do contact me. And then my phone number, I want to make sure it's my cell phone number. So I'm going to select it on the drop-down list, and then I'll just click Save and Apply. Perfect. All right, now I can rename this really quick just so I can tell them apart. I'll click Save and Apply again just to save my name. Okay. Perfect. So once I've done that, I'm just going to click on my Save Changes. We'll click on Yes. And now again, we have our featured listings page. It's just not live. So we'll go into our site and app settings. And then we're going to click on Site Pages. And then I'm just going to click on Add Page. And I have my featured listings showing up as my newest page. And then I'll just click Continue. And we'll update our title. So we'll title this one Featured Listings. I'll do my slug the same thing with a dash. For some of our featured listings. Once I have that information added, I have my title, my slug, and my SEO description. I'm just going to click on Save Page Changes to make this live. Once you get that green light, I'm just going to go back to my website. I'll refresh it to make sure that that tab shows up now. And now we have our featured listings. And again, the first time you go to your page after you make it live, it does take a second to load. Don't panic. Going forward, after it does that initial, it shouldn't take that long. So now I have my listings. It's the same listing stacked on top of each other, but obviously if you have multiple listings, you would use the different iframe URLs that you created or iframe code that you created. So now that's been added. The last thing that I want to show you guys is essentially how to create a completely custom page on the command platform. So for this, we're going to be using a little bit of eEdge. I'm going to show you guys how to create or essentially host an image, how to then add that image to your website, how to make sure that text is being added. So any of you that may either have a custom website currently and you're looking to move information over to the command website, or if you even are just trying to put together some sort of blog on your command website and you're trying to put the information together yourself, this is essentially the workaround that we have available so far. So to start, I'm just going to go back to my agent site pages. And I'm just going to click on Create a New Site. And then I'm going to click on My Agent Site and Create Page. So once I have this page up, I'm actually just going to label this SLM. So this would be any content that you're trying to add if you're doing like a meet the team page, or again, if you just have maybe some specs that you want to put on your company or on your team or anything along those lines, this is going to be just a way for you guys to see what you have available if you're trying to add completely custom information. So to start, what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to grab a layout block. So I'm going to click on my layout blocks. I'm actually going to grab the half section, which is the capital W. What that's going to give me is 2 separate cells, just so you can see how this works. So I'm just going to drag and drop that right onto my page. You'll see I have 2 cells populating now. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up a new tab, and I'm going to pull up my mykw.kw.com, which is just your home intranet. This is the platform that some of you may have been used to using prior to command. If you're already logged into command and you open up a new tab and just go to mykw.kw.com, it should auto log you in. If it doesn't, it's the exact same credentials as your command. So same username and password. Once you guys have this page up, we're just going to click on the little plus sign next to My Marketing. We're going to click on the first option, Create Marketing Materials. Once you guys have this page up, we're going to click on Images, which should be nestled right underneath Marketing. Once this page is populating, we're actually going to be uploading an image. And then I'm just going to click select files. That way it will give me access to the files that I have saved on my desktop. And I'm going to add in this one. I'm going to click upload. And what this is going to do is it's going to allow you to host that image. Hosting this image is going to give that image a URL. By giving that image a URL, it's then going to let you use that iframe generator and create an iframe link so that image populates correctly on your website. So again, this is just a workaround to get that image to populate on a custom page for you. So once I've added that, I'm just going to sort by uploaded date. That way it shows up first. Here's my picture that I just added. So once you guys have that, if you just click on it, it will pull up the image. And you can actually just right click and you're just going to copy image location. Now that I have my image URL, I can go back to my iframe generator. Again, this is just iframe-generator.com. And I'm going to make sure that all the information from earlier is removed, and you can just refresh it and that will remove all of the stuff from the earlier iframe codes that we did. And I'm just going to paste my image URL right underneath iframe URL. And then I'll click generate and preview. The preview, you just want to make sure that the picture is not being cut in half or distorted, in which case you would need to adjust the actual dimensions at the top. But this one, this is showing my entire picture. It looks good. So what I can do is go back to iframe and I'm just going to copy my code. Once you have it copied, we'll go back to command. And I already have my text box on the left-hand side. That's where I'm going to be putting the formatted text that I have in my Word document. I'm going to be putting my image on the right-hand side. So I already have my cell, but I'm going to want this image to be centered. So what I'm going to do is actually use another layout option. So I'm just going to click on Layout Blocks. And I'm going to grab the 1/3 option, which is the capital E. And all I'm going to do is drag and drop that right over that column. So you'll see I'm right inside that orange box and I'll just drop it. Once you've done that, you'll see that you now have 3 little cells inside of that 1 square cell. What we're going to do is paste that code right into that center cell. So now I can go into my content blocks and grab my text box so we can get that copied and pasted in. So I'll drag that, drop it right into, again, that center cell. You'll notice that you now have 3 of them. So I'm going to drop it right into my center one. Then I'm going to highlight my text and paste my code right over it. And then double click my code. And you'll see that your image is centered in between those 2 sections. Now we just need to grab our actual text from our Word document. Again, you guys can do this in Google Sheets. I'm going to be using Microsoft Word. I'm just going to open up my document. These are just 2 articles that were on our website for blogs. I'm going to grab the first one. I'm just going to copy down, make sure I have the full article. So one of the things that you'll notice when you copy and paste text into the command platform is it does bleed right to the edge of the page. So if I copy and paste this as is, what will happen is the text is going to go all the way over to the left-hand side. So in order for it to kind of just look a little bit cleaner, you can indent the text right on Microsoft Word. Or you can, again, you can do this on Google Sheets. So I'm just going to click the indent button. Once you guys have done that, you'll notice everything moved over a little bit. I'm just going to copy what I have selected. I'll go back into command. I'll highlight my text and paste my text right over it. And you'll see now I have that little area on the left-hand side just so your text isn't going all the way out into the screen. You can also use another layout block and essentially do exactly what we did for the picture. This is just another way so you guys can see what you have access to as far as bringing formatting over from Microsoft Word or Google Sheets. Once you guys have all your information pasted in, you still need to add a widget in order for Command to recognize this as a website page. So we're going to click on the widgets, and we're just going to be using the contact form. So all I'm going to do is just drag and drop that right to the bottom of my page. And then you'll see it populate right underneath everything. Again, once you guys have that, you do want to make sure that your contact information looks correct. The contact page does automatically pull the office number, so we are going to go back in again and click on Configure Widgets. We're going to click on Contact, and maybe we want to change this to me. And then on the drop-down list, I'm just going to change this to my cell phone number, and then click Save and Apply. And then we'll just check and make sure that updated. We have Contact Me, and then we also have our cell phone number populating. So once you guys have updated that, we're just going to click on Save Changes. And then we'll click Yes to make this site visible. And now we have that page populating. However, keep in mind, it's not live yet, so we do need to make this page live. So now I'm just going to click on Site and App Settings. Then I'll go into Pages. And now I'm just going to add this page. So I'll click Add Page on the left-hand corner. Scroll down and grab my page. This is my new one, so SLM. And then I'll click Continue. And now we need to give this page a title, so I'll do SLM Tech Tips. And then my slug, I'm just going to do Tech Tips with a dash. So this won't allow any spaces, so just make sure that you're either pushing everything together or essentially a dash if you want it to be recognized as a space. And then we'll do click here to learn tech updates with SLM. And then I'm just going to click Save Changes once I have all my information added. And now let's make sure this page is live. X out of some of them. Perfect. So now you can see all of your information showing up. You have your picture on the right-hand side. Your text is indented, so it's not touching that edge of the screen. You have your Contact Me, and you have your phone number populating correctly at the bottom of the screen. So now let's say you have a video or something that you wanted to add to an existing page, or maybe you created a page a couple of months ago or a couple of weeks ago and you want to edit that page. You do have access to edit those through the Designs platform. So I just want to show you guys where that is just to tie everything together. So now we're just going to go back to our Command platform. And we're just going to click on the Designs icon, which kind of looks like the sketch pad and the pencil. Once you guys click on this, by default, it's going to pull your most recent designs, which for us is all of the pages that we've been adding today during class. However, if you added this previously, it may not be on this page, in which case you can just click Agent Cite. And this should pull them in chronological order, so your newest ones should essentially be right on the top row, and you'll see the SLM page that we just created is right here. So now what I can do is I can click on this page, and say I just wanted to remove this image. I can just go ahead and remove these boxes by selecting it and clicking the little trash can. And now this is just left aligned, so it's all in the left-hand column. But then I can also come in here and I can grab my content box and maybe drop a text box. You can add another iframe in here, whatever you guys want as far as making the edit. So now that I've done that, what I want to do is I want to rename this. So I'm just going to name it SLM2. That way I know that this is the updated page. I'll scroll down, make sure all of my updates stay. So my cell phone number is still the same. Contact me is still the same. That should stay. However, just check just to make sure before you make that page live. Now that I've made my edit, I'm just going to click on Save Changes right on the top right-hand corner. And then we'll click Yes. And now you'll see the SLM2 page populating right at the top of the screen, but it's not live. So obviously, this is essentially the same page as my SLM page, so I don't need both of them live. So what I'm actually going to do is just swap this page for my revised, updated page. By doing that, all I'm going to do is go into Site and App Settings. I'll go into Site Pages again. But this time, rather than clicking on Add a page, we're just going to click on the 3 dots for the page we're trying to replace. Then you'll get this little drop-down list where it will say Select Page or Delete. If you want to delete that page completely, you can delete it. Or if you're just replacing it, you can just click on Select Page. It will pull this pop-up again, and now I can replace it with my SLM2 and click Confirm or Continue. Once I've done that, just click Save Page Changes. I got my green ribbon saying everything was successful. I'll go back to my website, and then all I'm going to do is just refresh this page. And now my edits have been implemented, so my picture's gone. Same slug, it's the same title, so you didn't have to redo any of that. You just essentially swapped which page was live. So now when I go back into Command, and if I click on my Agent Site Pages tab, you'll see now my updated one has that teal eyeball, so it's live. And my SLM one has the gray eye, which means that it's no longer active. I can also now delete this one. That way, I'm not taking up space in this section because again, you can only have 10 pages that are live. So now I'm back down to 9 pages. So I have space for one more page. So that's essentially how you guys can go in and customize this. Keep in mind when you guys are adding pictures or images or videos, as long as you can create those to be an iframe code, they are 100% addable to your website. There's also widgets available to you guys. Some of the ones that we went over today. You also have the additional widgets that are available right on the command platform. You have that testimonials platform, which we do have a tip on that I'll put right in the summary of this video. I'm also going to add how to add multiple neighborhoods to a landing page and then get that added to your website if you're trying to promote multiple neighborhoods and the listings within those neighborhoods. And then we'll also add some additional tips that just go over a little bit more in depth how to create a landing page and get that added, how to embed those codes properly. So those will all be in the summary. I'll also put the direct link for Homekeepr and the direct link for that mortgage calculator, just so you guys have it on file. And then if you guys need anything else, definitely don't hesitate to contact us. Again, we can be reached via email, which is support@scottleroymarketing.com. And then if you guys need anything else, just let us know. We're here to help.